Okay, week 6, final week of fly tying. And we did a dry fly today, an extended body CDC winged dry fly. We're using a short shank hook. This is a 2X short and it's a size 14. And we're gonna hop right in. This one was kind of tricky with the extended body technique. Don't worry if you waste a couple feathers getting it right. I'll show you how I did it again, but we'll get started here. I'm going to use an 8/0 thread, something small. It's a small fly. We don't want a bunch of bulk with our thread. So we'll get that started. Back down to the bend, or basically you want to make your hook shank is only going to be the thorax of this fly, so it doesn't need to be very long. We're doing kind of a Hendrickson sized fly roughly. So our body, when it's clipped, is going to be this. This is just a Hungarian partridge feather that I've clipped. And to do that, we're going to take, again, you can get Hungarian partridge in a bag. I pulled it off this skin. I like the skins because it's easier to find the right size. Basically, we're going to take a feather. We're going to get rid of all the fluff. Excuse me. Whew. And basically, we're going to find the fibers on this feather that are the length that we want our tail to be. So I'm going to say that's it right there. And we're going to preen those back out of the way. I got a broken one there. You can use a bodkin. You can be careful with your fingers. But we're going to separate the tips. We're going to make this little triangle here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to come in and cut that tip off. Now I'm going to take 2 fibers on either side, just to give a little bit of leeway in case I do cut one. Wouldn't be the first time. I've got a third one over here, but it's broken. Okay. We're going to get those 2 out of the way. Those are going to be our tails. This is going to be hard to show on camera, but I'm going to grab it by the tail. Actually, I'm going to grab it by the side here. I'm going to come up and cut against the way the direction, the direction that the fibers want to go, and I'm just going to cut those off. And then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to try to do the same thing, keep the same distance from the stem. And if you work down to it, it's a whole lot easier than trying to take it all at once. Now this looks kind of weird. I'm going to stroke all these fibers back the direction they want to go. We now have a nice little mayfly body. Works good for sulfurs. Again, we're doing a Iconicia sized one today. Or not ISO, Hendrickson. And basically we're going to guesstimate on how long this body should be, because we can't really use a shank measurement because it's a short shank. So I want this fly about yay big. And what I'm going to do to help me tie this in, these stems are rounded and they tend to want to roll on you. One way to help with that is you take the butts of your scissors and you come in and you can crush, kind of flatten that stem piece. I'm going to turn this so you guys can see this. I'm going to take and preen these fibers out, basically so my thread can go through them nice and easily. Nice loose wrap. Get everything where you want it. Get it on there loosely. Make sure it's sitting how you want it is. I'm gonna wrap forward. Again, getting tighter as I go. I don't wanna reef down way back here because that'll help. That'll make my body twist on me. I've got that tied in. I'm gonna come in, cut that close to the eye. Again, some good tension up here towards the eye, and then a little bit looser as we go back, just to make sure it doesn't want to roll. If it does, you can take your fingernail and just kind of move it to where you want it. Material prep on this fly is probably the hardest part. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple fly. But now we've got our body on the fly. We're going to take a Peacock herl now. And actually, I'm going to use 2 just because it fills up faster that way. And I'm going to take these, and I'm going to take the tips. I'm going to get rid of the tips. The tips are very, very brittle. I tend to break them when I tie them in. And we're just going to get those captured. Tie them in up to the eye and then back a little bit. We want to leave a little bit of room for our wing. And then I'm just going to wrap these forward, touching turns, creating kind of a nice buggy thorax. They're separating on me. One thing you can do is I'm going to twist these a little bit. Not a lot, just a couple turns just to keep them together. It'll help flare the barbs on this also. Get this tied in. Now that I've got a little gap to the eye, capture those. 2 turns over the top, fold them back, 2 turns in, 3 turns in front. You can break these off. Sometimes you'll lose them. So I'm just going to clip those and create a little pad right here for our wing, which again, we're using CDC today. We're going to need 3 feathers. Ideally, this is another material prep thing. So I buy CDC in large bags because you get more options when you're being picky about feathers. You want a really nice, lots of barbs on it, long, because we're not even going to use the front half of this. We're going to take these and we're going to stack them on top of each other like so. I've got 3 there. I'm using 2 colors. There's a green one snuck in between 2 duns. But I'm going to stack them so that the stems are aligned and the curvature is the same. And I'm going to pinch these together. I'm going to align the butts, and I'm going to preen just like we did on the body. I'm going to take these feathers, or these barbs, I'm going to separate them. I'm going to hold these back fibers back so I don't cut them. And I'm going to cut the stems. So again, I've got all of these fibers back here, which are going to be our wing. So I'm now going to pinch these at the butts, stroke all these fibers forwards. I'm going to lay the stems and all these fibers facing forwards right on top of the fly. Take a loose wrap, pull tight, another loose wrap, and with a slight amount of tension, this is, you're going to feel this next step. I'm going to pull these back, and you'll notice, hopefully you can see it, but right there, these stems are now free of my thread. And what that allows me to do is then pull all these forward facing fibers up. And I'm going to tie or make a little thread dam in front of these so that they stand straight up and down. Essentially, the fly is now tied. I'm going to do first a half hitch just to make sure nothing goes anywhere. I'm going to do a 3-turn whip finish. We don't need much here. Again, you can use head cement, super glue. Once we get that whip finished, we can now take our scissors, cut our thread. I'm going to take this out of the vise now to trim. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch this in my fingers. We want, you know, that classic sailboat shape of a wing. So I'm going to pinch it so I'm protecting a lot of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, make sure I don't cut the tail. And there we go. I'll get that back in the vise here so you can see it. Again, that's probably one of the trickier parts. You're gonna cut them too short. You're gonna cut them at a weird angle. But basically, this is now gonna float like a cork and give a really nice buggy shape.